Welcome to Breaking the Ice. We're Patel, Greene & Associates, and we're here to tell stories about our three favorite things: business, culture, and engineering. Let's get to it. All right, welcome back to PGA's podcast, Breaking the Ice. I think we're now the number one podcast in the engineering industry. I read that
That's
somewhere.
good news.
Yeah, I wrote it down, I think. Today, we are glad to have the illustrious Chris Smith with us. Joining us on the podcast. Known Chris for a long time.
Yes.
And we're going to talk a little bit about leadership. And we're talking about a few other things as well. But maybe before we get started, do a little introduction on yourself, a little bit about your background. And you can kind of pause that story, at the end of your DOT career into PGA, and we can tell some of that story too.
Sure. Well, I was born and raised in Bartow, that. Ended up in the engineering field sort of by chance. I was asked to join a small engineering firm here in Bartow. So I began the trip just surveying and drafting, old school drafting. Mm-hmm. And I worked there for about 4 years, and then started my career at DOT in '87. So I spent 30 years in District 1, Bartow, and it was a great time, and I'll talk a little bit later, I'm sure, about the culture that we found there and what we found here. And but I retired from FDOT in 2017. I made it to the level of Director of Transportation Development. I'm pretty proud of that. It was quite a role. Status didn't matter to me, but just the fact that I could work with people. So I was able to help a lot of folks out in their career as well.
Yeah, and I can remember as a much younger guy, but having had worked with you and got to know you a little bit. And I guess for the most part, they like that position to be licensed for whatever reason. Yeah. But when it seemed obvious that you were the choice for that position, it was just like, oh, well, we're not going to worry about that. Like it was unanimous. It felt unanimous anyway that, oh, well, that position's open, and that's for Chris. Like he's going to be great at it, and you really were.
Oh, thanks.
And I always enjoyed working with you at all the levels that we interacted while you were there. But then once you decided your DOT time was over, it was like, wait a minute,
right?
We got to get our hat in the ring on this.
Sure.
So I don't know if you want to share what you want about that, but the fun part is me badgering you until you did it.
Right. I that was the fun part, and it might have delayed me a little bit just because I had such a good time with it. Yeah. So when I retired, I knew that you would want to talk to me, sure. Just because we've been, like you said, we've known each other a long time. So you'll remember that when I left DOT, we took a trip to Massachusetts. My wife was doing a travel nursing assignment. And so I wasn't working or doing anything during the day. So I think that gave you the opportunity to feel comfortable to text me and call me when you wanted, which was a pleasure, I got to admit. I really felt like we got a chance to talk a lot. Yeah. And two, it showed me that you were intent on putting PGA's best foot forward to try to lure me to Absolutely. PGA. So it was a good time for sure. And it was about 7 months of us talking back and forth, lunch here and there when we were in town. But it was fun for sure.
Well, and I fancy myself a decent recruiter, staying on top of those connections and doing that. But sure. It wasn't all me. It was sometimes Joe Locke saying, hey, what's Chris doing? You heard from Chris?
Okay.
I'm like, I don't know, man. I'll text him. And so some of those were nudges from Joe Locke. But I guess another little recruiting secret I'll share because it's connected to this story. This might have been probably one of the last phone calls before we got you to accept. I'd got you in the truck, and we're talking, and you're still deciding. And then I hear over the speakerphone that Patty, your wife, is in there with you. And I forget exactly what she said, but it was pretty positive for PGA, something along the lines of,
I can tell you.
Yeah. Remind us exactly what she said.
She said, Chris, you're going to go to PGA. I mean, why don't you just do it? So, and she was excited too, because she sensed what was going on. Just the camaraderie, the connection.
Yeah.
And you did definitely badger me. And it was, like I said, it was fun to walk through that with you for sure.
Well, so the little recruiting secret was once I heard that, I said, I think probably said something like, all right, Chris, we'll talk later.
Yeah.
I knew it was in the bag. I'm like, oh,
Yes,
we got
yes.
Patty. So
Yes, for
this is,
sure.
I can relax. Chris is coming. We'll just, yeah, that was fun.
It was good.
All right. So, you joined us and, you took on several things and we had you plugged into some things. And then, life threw you a few curveballs and it was time for you to kind of to drop back a little bit and work part-time, which was fine with us. We from the initial bringing you on, it was all about bringing in the best people we possibly can. And you're like the bestest of the best people in my book. And so if that's full-time, if it's part-time, we'll take good people in whatever quantity we can get them wherever they happen to be as well. Because part of that also meant you'd be remote and doing some traveling. And we said, that's fine. We'll work that out. But you weren't able to really tie yourself to in like hard deadlines. So there were some things we couldn't get you plugged into. Sure. But there were definitely some things we could still get you involved in. And they happen to be things that were like perfect for your talent and for your skill set. And so one of those was our leadership and training program. So that was one of the big goals from our first strategic plan. And we never really got it off the ground because ironically, the point behind the program was to free up time for company leadership, but company leadership didn't have enough time to get the program. So one of those little catch-22s. But once we were getting near the end of that plan and we're like, are we going to punt this goal like a bunch of punks? Or are we going to get this thing done? And so none of us still really had the time to do it right. And we didn't want to just do it halfway or do it poorly. And so the thought came, well, if Chris is willing to take this on, because there's not like a hard deadline and then we'll know he'll get it done, I'll call him. So we left that vision committee meeting with, all right, Gordon, call Chris and see if he'll, take this on. And we talked about it and kind of walked through what we were looking for. And I think by the end of that pretty short phone call, sure, you were very excited about it. So maybe you can take it from there. We had the phone call and you say, yeah, that sounds good. I'd be happy to do that. And I think I said, well, hey, go ahead and assemble your team and
sure,
go to work and, maybe take it from there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you called, it was interesting for sure. I thought, well, I certainly can use some of my experience. I went through the DOT Leadership Academy and their graduate academy, and then PGA wanted me to be involved in the Bartow Leadership group. So, all of those things really kind of came into play. But of course, the time that I spent at FDOT in leadership really helped. But as we began to develop the program, it turned into one of those things that we knew that it was going to be big. It was going to be a lot of work, which was fine. We're willing to do it. But when we assembled the team, this team was a group of leaders already. I mean, we knew they either led a division or a discipline, or they were, just in-house leaders just by the fact of the way they behaved. So it was a great team that we assembled, and we began to meet and really kind of strategize what kind of content we wanted in the program. So we began to do that, but we knew that it could be a little overwhelming to develop all of the content. Of course, you and I talked, and we had already had some conversation about utilizing IAG, Mark Isaac and his crew. So with your permission and encouragement, we went ahead and brought them in. And so as we watched them develop content, we had a chance to review it and coordinate and direct. And so it honestly, the first year, it was our goal to have it ready by the beginning of that calendar year. And so we made it, we delivered it by that year. And the interesting thing is that we knew that the second year we could take pieces of the leadership program and make it PGA. So we did that. And even now we have PGA staff that lead almost all of the sessions. There's just one session that we still utilize IAG just because of their experience with mergers and acquisitions, that kind of thing. So we've had a great experience with it, and I'm excited about next year. As a matter of fact, I just sent out a couple of emails about nominations for the coming year in 26. So yeah, we're rolling and excited about it.
Yeah, we are too. We're certainly proud of that. When we set off to do it and made the investment, you never really know if it's going to take off, if people are going to respond positively to it. Because we wanted it to be a program where people they see it as sort of maybe not prestigious, but like they want to do it. They want to take part. They think they're going to get something out of it. But you never really know until you put it together and run people through it and see what they think when they're done. And I think so far it's been a huge success for us. We've always got interest in doing it. We keep the group fairly small, which I think, I don't know how many were in this year's 8 course. So 8, I don't know. I think we had maybe a couple more than that last year.
Yeah.
And less than that the year before. It was so we feeling like this is the sweet spot.
Yeah. It's a good
8,
good size group. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, give or take.
Yes. And we've never had anybody turn down the opportunity to be in lit. So that says something in itself.
Yeah. So maybe we can get into that a little bit. So we put a lot of effort, time, money that first year developing the thing out. And it was really Mark led it kind of was. But major facilitation by you, especially. And I think probably some select team members, probably Katie, because there's a big marketing component and the whole marketing team, I imagine. But maybe step through. So it's 4 major sessions. Yes. And then we have the graduation. You want to step through kind of how we built that curriculum? Because it hasn't, you can touch on some of the things we've tweaked along the way, but I feel like the bones of the program are just as they were for the most part as we started. We've just, I'll let you tell it.
I mean, you're right. We really, the outline had stayed the same. There was a lot of information that carried over, but the second year, well, let me start over. So the program really is 4 sessions. The first one is kind of getting to know yourself. So personality traits and how you work with people, and then knowing others as well in that first session. So we walk folks through that kind of personality analysis and discussion. Session 2, we're really trying to talk about how do you grow your personality type? How do you make a difference in your own life at work? And of course, we believe it applies at home too. And that also rolls into, how do we grow ourselves and others? So that's sessions 1 and 2. And then we begin to shift into business in session 3. So we're knowing your business, but what is the business that you do at PGA, and how do you get to understand that a little more? So we walk through that in session 3, and session 4 is how do you grow that? So it's, know yourself, know others, grow yourself, grow others, and then growing and knowing the business, or knowing and growing the business. So, and then session 5 is a graduation. We do a capstone project and presentation. And I know that leadership has accepted those gladly, those presentations, because they apply directly to how do we develop PGA.
Yes. Yeah. Those have been already very helpful in real things that we're doing to grow the company. When we did that first year, because we'd never done anything like that internally, not plenty of us had participated in those sorts of things, but none of us had ever developed a program. So Mark and his team were definitely more involved. I think, that first session, we used the people map system for our personality stuff. And so we had Jillian come in and lead that. And then we had someone in the afternoons, the third party. I think the second session might have been all Mark, maybe. Certainly the third one was Mark and a guy named Marv, if I remember right.
That's true.
It was someone he brought in. And then the fourth was all Mark again. So there's a lot of outside people coming in, which is pretty cool. But we knew from the get-go, and this was Mark encouraged, like, this needs to be our program. And I think, was it somewhere in the middle of the first session, or I can't remember when we hired Eddie Gonzalez, if it was in the middle of the first
It
year,
was.
or I feel like it was,
It
'cause we
was.
said, you should go to this and pay attention because you're running the next year.
That's right. He joined.
And so, yeah, he kind of joined up, and you and him, I think that second year, were the major driving forces on pulling it together and organizing it. And I think that's when so that's the year that he and Katie took over, sort of the marketing,
Yes.
session 3, maybe. Is that what that was?
Yeah.
Session 3, I think.
Yes.
And then Caitlin participated that year as a cohort member, but I think she's like a player coach or something. I think
She was.
she led session 2, I believe.
She-
Yes, session 2.
Well,
This year she's done more. She
well,
took on
right.
more.
So she did. She led session 1 actually because you guys sent her to the people
For this
map
year,
training
for the third year.
for
She didn't do that. We had Jillian again the second year, I believe.
You're right. You're right. So
yeah,
she did. She did session 1 and 2 this year. She did session 2 the previous year, and she was
as a
presenter
student, yeah.
and participant. Right. Yes. Yeah. So she did a great job, and it just keeps getting better. I mean, we're repeating now from this point forward. Caitlin will do session 1, 2, Katie and E.3, and we bring Mark in for 4 in graduation. So they all are kind of honing their presentations, and it's just getting better.
Yeah. And I think you all do a great job. After every session, you send out a survey, but you're having conversations with people too. We always end it with a happy hour, which is nice because we end up extending, the day, basically kind of covering some of the things we talked about. And obviously a little bit, I mean, it's a pretty relaxed atmosphere anyway. We by design, but obviously a little more relaxed in a happy hour setting. Sure. But y'all do a really great job of getting that feedback, incorporating it. We've made some changes to the program, even in these first few years to make it as good as we can. And we'll continue to do that. We'll never really be satisfied.
It's always growing and changing for sure. And I will make a comment that it doesn't ever get really relaxed at happy hour.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
We always behave.
Yes.
Haven't got kicked out yet. All right. Anything else on the lit program that you wanted to share?
No, but well, other than this, this little, well, I don't want to call it a trophy. Oh yeah,
trophy
award.
feels weird.
I mean, I guess, trophy's not right. It's actually more of an award. It's because they go through quite an effort.
Yeah.
The capstone project is a presentation, and they have to work on it together. And generally, they all present together.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an effort, and it's appreciated. I mean, we know that it's appreciated, and so this is just a piece, just a token. We give them fancy lit pens and books and it's just so that it's a memorable event for them. And honestly, as I've talked with some of the lit participants, they notice that other PGA employees are looking at the I don't know what you call it, the award, and they all seem to be interested in, well, how'd you get that? What is it about? What do you like about this? So
and this is Jonathan Jones. We borrowed it for the podcast, so you took part in it last year, and we handed out a few more of these here in a month or so. All right, that's actually a good segue because, as you can see, it is shaped it's shaped sort of like a diamond, which is the symbol we use for our ICE core values: our integrity, commitment, and excellence. And so we kind of want to talk some about that too. One of the things that we sort of borrowed from you when you joined, you always had a story of what you used to do. So I'll let you tell the story. But it's just a great example of your style of leadership, how good you are with people, how positively they respond to you because, you're genuine and you're authentic, which is the kind of leadership we encourage here. It's nothing fake or plastic. Like we just want to be genuine and authentic with people. Sure. As we lead them, if that's what we are called to do here. So you tell your story about, what you used to pass around to encourage folks.
Sure. So early in my career as a director, I knew that I needed to be able to express appreciation, and I needed a reason to do it. But it quickly became, how do I create this time where a manager might say, hey, someone's done something nice or great, So I created what I called York Awards, and so I issued the challenge to my managers that, look, I'm going to walk to these people's desk and tell them thank you for whatever it was that they did. So it started slow because, I guess I shared this in a pretty large group of managers at DOT, and I really got a couple of blank stares. And I said, look, it's just not that hard. We're just trying to show appreciation. So quickly it picked up and it caught on. And over that 5 years, I estimate around 1,500 York peppermint patties were given out as York Awards. But what really happened was I was going to the desk and say, hey, so-and-so nominated you for a York Award, and we just really appreciate it. And here's your York Award. And it was just that easy. But people weren't just eating their York Award. I mean, some of them were pinning them on their wall, or they might eat the York Award and then hold on to the plastic. So it really became a thing for me to continue to push it because, look, we all like a little bit of appreciation, right?
Sure.
We don't all
Everybody
need as
does.
much as everybody else, but everybody likes just a little bit.
Nobody gets mad about it.
No, now they might get mad if you pull them up in front of a crowd.
Maybe,
so I avoided
yeah.
that, but I had a lot of fun doing it. And so when I came on with PGA and we were talking about ice, and it just seemed to just fall right into place. So I suggested at a leadership meeting at PGA that why don't we consider something like that? And it just really seemed to be taken right up by the PGA leadership group. And I just thought it was fun that we created our own chocolate ice award at PGA that was designed by PGA with the ice emblem. And it was just really cool thing that happened.
That was a fun thing to do. Robin figured out who to call and do all that.
Right.
And we got to taste a whole bunch of different varieties of the prototypes. And that was a very tasting part of the process. And of course we just ended up with just a piece of chocolate, but it was really cool and pretty intricate and has our ice logo. And there's gonna be a lot of people at PGA listening to this podcast that are gonna go, what the heck? Yeah. I haven't seen any of this chocolate.
Right.
What's going on? So we may have to bring those back because we were pretty good about them there for a while. And then COVID kind of put a stop to handing out chocolate. Of course, most everybody was working at home anyway. And then we sort of let that fizzle. I think we may need to bring that back.
Maybe. Yeah.
They'll make them.
Yeah, they'd be glad to sell them to us.
I think there's some iced chocolate around here, but I don't know if I'm going to give it out.
It was tasty. Mine are gone. So
I definitely asked them in my office, but I don't think I want to give them out. Well, anyway, that was another one of those no-brainers.
Sure.
It's like I guess it's an extra thing to do. It's certainly not something that a lot of companies do, but it doesn't really cost anything.
Yeah, it doesn't take much time either.
And it doesn't take much time.
Yeah.
And we need to be doing it anyway.
Sure.
If carrying a piece of chocolate with you gives you a reason to walk up to somebody and say thanks, then we'll get the chocolate to you.
Yeah, I found out you can't really keep it in your pocket though.
Yes.
Yeah, that one's a little messy there.
It's
One of them,
disappointing when it gets to the other end.
Yeah, mushy chocolate.
All right, so you took up the lit, you got that done for us. We don't really have it on here to talk about, but of course we can. You lead our QC committee, and that's a huge part of what you do for us each week. But I think what we really wanted to talk about is the giving committee. So these are all things that I know are near and dear to your heart, including quality.
Sure.
But when we wanted someone to sort of be in charge of our giving, and you can talk about how we break that up in a few different categories and some of the things that we do there. But that just seemed perfect for you to handle, even in sort of that part-time status, because I knew your passion would drive you to do a good job at it, and of course you have. So tell us a little bit about PGA Gives Back and everything that we're doing here.
Sure. That was that's been a fun time for sure. I've been chairing that committee for I don't know, 6 years, maybe 7. It's been a long time, and so we started out just trying to figure it out. I mean, you were on the committee with me in the beginning, right? So we finally figured out that what we were doing is we were donating money to charities and community organizations and professional organizations. So we sort of try to break that up into those three groups now, and try to be focused a little bit more on how much we're given to each of those, organization groups.
Mhm.
So we tend to. It's real easy to give to professional organizations because there's a lot of them, and we're engaged in a lot of them. But what we're doing now is really, especially this time of the year, we begin to focus on charities and community organizations in the communities that we live and work. So it's not just about the one next door; it's about the one next door all over the state. I mean, with our offices, are all over the state now. So we're really making an effort to try to donate in the Tampa area, in the Sarasota area, Bartow area. So, and of course, Fort Lauderdale and Tallahassee are new to it, but we are excited about where we're at today. I know we're making recommendations for donations, even as we speak, almost, and so it's just a matter of analyzing where we're at PGA and how much needs to go where, and I'm telling you, we've often delivered the check, not for. It wasn't for any one of us, but
Right.
just to get them a check. And I'm telling you, the look on some of those charities' faces, and even some of the educational organizations that just don't have a lot of resources, it's kind of priceless, honestly. So a lot of people are very appreciative of PGA.
Well, it's a big part of what we do. We talk about our mission every chance that we get,
Yeah.
and that probably lines up best with that giving. And we elevate our families, our communities, and our profession, and so that fits right in, especially the communities part and profession part. And so it's something we're always gonna do, and we communicate that internally. We tell people. I mean, we hardly ever say no.
Right.
And we have a budget for it, but
Right.
most people's asks, aren't
Right.
usually very large,
Right.
and we're happy to do it if folks are involved and stuff. So usually we
Sure.
say, if you're really involved in a certain ministry or charity, and you'd like us to help, let us know.
Sure.
And we get those requests, and I've been serving with them for 3 or 4 years,
Right.
and they're looking for $250. We're like,
Yeah.
all right,
Make it happen.
not a problem.
And you'll know too that it's we like to support our people,
Yes.
right? So the organizations that our folks are either donating to or volunteering with, we often donate to them also. But we've got staff that have been affected by storm damage, or one had a car crash into their house. We've stepped out and helped them. Literally, yeah, it like in the bedroom or in the living room, bedroom,
crazy.
whatever. There's other situations. Even recently, the storm, PGA staff have stepped up and opened up their homes or their homes elsewhere out of harm's way, and we've had PGA staff take advantage of an offer to stay in someone's home. So it's about PGA people loving on PGA people and taking care of each other, and we do that.
Yeah, and while I think we give as much as we can. We talked about the budget. We can't give all our money away, obviously. What we focused on somewhat recently is, okay, well, might be a limit to the money we can give, but
Right.
I guess there's a limit to the time we can give too. But that gives us another opportunity to increase our giving by donating some of our time. And so I don't know when we did this. I guess it's probably been a few years now, but we adopted a section of the highway over by the Skyway. So I think I'd signed up for the last one and bailed on you once again. So you want to talk a little bit about our Adopt a Highway program?
Yeah, that was it. It took a while to get that figured out because we actually adopted part of the Pier Access Road on the south side of the Skyway, Manatee County side, and the issue wasn't that they didn't want us to; they were having to figure out how to do the mileposting on it. So it took them a while to get that figured out, and of course we're probably in our third year now of the Adopt a Highway program, the land at the Skyway. And it's just a great opportunity for PGA to get back to the community in a different way. And so I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but a lot of staff hours have gone into picking up
many bags filled.
Many bags. Several times we picked up 30 bags of garbage that was very quickly going to end up in the Gulf or in the Bay.
Sure.
So we caught it before it did, and we're happy we're able to do that. It's but that's not the only way that PGA has volunteered, and we've done work in other communities, and mostly that's driven by someone leading in that office. But there's been several other events that we've taken part of, from helping at a botanical garden to marking storm drains not to put trash down them. So we are in the community and helping out.
Yes, absolutely. All right. I think we've covered our main topics we had on our list today. What else is on your mind? Anything else?
I talked about culture a minute ago, and I got to go back to that, because I spent 30 years at FDOT, and you spent some time at FDOT in District 1, and the FDOT family is just a wonderful family. But, when you spend 30 years at a place, you get really ingrained, and there's a lot of relationships, and it's just a good place to be for me. And so when I was leaving, I was trying to find a place like that. And so what I found was there were some places sort of like that, but I felt like PGA was the closest thing to that family atmosphere that I could find. And I, obviously PGA leadership was just a major part of that. We talked about recruiting earlier, and you snuck David Long in there, only two for lunch one day. But that's the whole thing. It's like Dave and I went back many years, so it's still that family feel, the family connection that really drew me to PGA.
It's funny. We do that a lot, or I try to do it a lot. Because maybe, I'm some silver tongue or whatever, and somebody might think I can talk them into taking this job. But I like to bring other people, like maybe, depending on who it is, maybe we have 2 or 3 interviews, and I bring different people every time, just so the person can see, like, we're all like this. Sure. It's all real. Like, you're not going to get over to PGA and go, wait a minute, there's like 2 nice people, and the rest of these people are jerks, man. We all are like this. It's just the kind of people that we hire.
Right.
And so, so bringing, of course, you knew David, so that's not really the same, but still, to have another person go, yeah, you really should do it.
Yeah.
It never hurts.
No, absolutely not. So it was good.
I'm glad you told that. I've always felt the same about District 1, having worked there, worked there for them for a little while, but obviously working for them as a consultant. Pretty closely for a long time. Really just DOT in general. I have worked in other districts as well. I don't know if any DOT people are going to listen to this podcast or not. I'd say it anyway, because I've told plenty of people this. Like, in terms of government agencies, not to qualify them or anything, or take away from the culture that they have at all. It's no one can compete. I mean, they really are a highly productive agency. It's super impressive. And they managed to do it like in a culture and an environment where people like to go to work.
Sure.
Which is what we're trying to do here. We want people I'm not naive enough to think that people are literally jumping out of bed to run in to do work here, but I like to think they're not, pulling the head back over the covers, dreading their trip into work either. So somewhere in between is what we're shooting for.
Right.
Closer to one than the other, hopefully.
For sure.
All right. Well, I appreciate the conversation today.
Me too.
Always enjoy having you around, talking through some of these things. But I think we'll call this one closed.
Maybe another day.
We'll definitely do it again.
All right.
There's plenty for us to talk about.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, that'll do it for us here on PGA's Breaking the Ice podcast. Appreciate you listening in. Thanks again, Chris, for joining me. Sure. We'll end our podcast as we always do with an asynchronous Go PGA. Okay. Ready on 1, 2, 3. Go PGA!